am Sanders Moore, the Director of Environment New Mexico, and it is my pleasure to introduce Senator Martin Heinrich. The Senator serves on the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee and is a strong advocate for renewable energy. He got his start in renewable energy technology as an engineering student in college when he built and raced a solar car across the country. He continued to promote clean energy by supporting energy efficiency and renewable energy measures as an Albuquerque City Councilor. As a U.S. Senator, he worked in 2015 to reach a bipartisan agreement to extend the federal solar tax credit, which has helped create the solar employment boom here in New Mexico. We at Environment New Mexico recognized Senator Heinrich's commitment to clean renewable energy last year when we presented him with our 2017 Environmental Champion Award. Please help me welcome Senator Martin Heinrich.
Thanks, Sanders, and I want to start by thanking CNM for hosting us here today, and obviously they're doing an amazing job training the next generation of folks who are working in this field, and I think that's incredibly important, Kathie. So keep up that great work, and we have the new mayor here and City Councilor Pat Davis, and that's not by accident, because the reality is the leadership that is happening today in clean energy is not coming from the White House, if you haven't noticed. It is coming from cities and states and private industry and individual businesses and Fortune 500 companies down to the smallest businesses. It's coming from rural electric co-ops. It's coming from tribes. And so one of the things we realized is in this environment where for the last 6 years, we've had this enormous growth in solar jobs in New Mexico, and then we have a new president who puts every roadblock he can. And we've got some bumps in the road right now with tariffs and other issues. Long term, this is blowing up. And so we decided we wanted to do something to make it easier for folks to find their way in what can be a confusing world of how you do this stuff in a nuts and bolts way. And it grew out of the work that Councilor Davis really led, and Ike Benton helped with on the council last year, where we did, $25 million in clean renewable energy bonds, which, by the way, some folks took away in the tax bill. But there are lots of ways you can utilize this technology that are beneficial to your bottom line. And depending on whether you're working in a tribal environment, or you're a small business, or you're a big business, or you're Rio Rancho Public Schools, or a small fish hatchery in Dexter or Mezcalero, your solution is often very different. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with the technology. Many times it's the financial structure. And piecing together all of the different ways that you can make these projects pencil out in a way that benefits your bottom line today is what this project was all about. So in 2004, I have some solar panels that look almost exactly like this, not as many of them, on my house in southeast Albuquerque that we installed back when I was on the Albuquerque City Council. And what I realized at the time was, because we were refinancing our home at the time, that we could trade a utility bill effectively for by refinancing we could spend nothing to the utility bill and trade that for $25 a month more within our mortgage. And it made me start realizing that people were going to come out with much more innovative ways to finance these things in the future, and all of the loan products that can help with that as well, and places like the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, that has been absolutely key. So we wanted to pull a product together, and this is the paper copy, and we still do this because a lot of people still like paper, but the real deal is online, and it's a toolkit of examples from around New Mexico of people who've made this happen and how they did it. And their stories are all different. Some had a special loan, an REAP loan from the USDA. There's just a myriad of different ways to make this work and make it work economically as the best cost outcome. And we wanted to put those all in one place so that people who want to go down that road can go look and say, this kind of looks like my situation. How did they do it? And have the context there, the emails, the phone numbers to start this process. So we're excited to launch this today, and we're going to hear from some folks today who will tell you about just where we are and where we're headed. I don't know who's next.
The mayor's next.
Sure.
And now we'll hear from Mayor Tim Keller.
I was just too busy paying attention right there. So I want to say, I think, just a couple of things. Firstly, I know our senator mentioned that there's a void of leadership in D.C., and in many ways that is so true. But I am so glad that it's not totally true, because we have an awesome senator. And so thank you, Senator Heinrich, for still being a leader in that environment and on this issue. So for me, too, as mayor of Albuquerque, this is also extra special to have a U.S. senator who used to be a city councilor. And so it's a rare situation when I actually have someone who's been there in the trenches when it comes to City Hall to rely on and to seek advice from and to ask for help from. And what a good example is this energy toolkit, because in Albuquerque, we are decidedly leading the way regardless of what DC is going to do. And that's why we started by signing the Paris Accords back a couple of months ago. That was something I said I was going to do on day 1, and I think on day 10 we did it. And we announced also, we'll hear a little bit about the work our councilor's been doing, but we want to continue to walk the walk. So our next step is to honor the legislation that Councilor Davis worked on and start building by building in Albuquerque, going solar, going renewable. And so we already have 10 buildings slated, including a couple of fire stations and a library that we are going to put solar panels on and undoubtedly be using this toolkit for. Also, it's a commitment to local. And one of the things that I think is so important about this industry is that we have a great solar industry right here in Albuquerque. And to support that in this environment where folks unfortunately are working against their business model by what they're doing in the White House, we have to support them as a city. And that's why in all of these efforts we're committed to using as many local vendors as we can, and especially to using those local solar companies, some who've survived since the 70s and lots that came just about 10 years ago when there was unanimous consent around a renewable energy future for America, for New Mexico, and for Albuquerque. And so we are going to try and keep that alive until we can bring the rest of the country along with us. And so for us, I want to thank our senator for providing this toolkit and for continuing to fight for renewable energy and for an economic future that is also green, and by extension, fighting for jobs in Albuquerque. Now, the person I want to introduce was working on this a little bit before I got here, at least in the mayor's office. And so I used to be helping him in his efforts in the state legislature and as state auditor. But now it's tremendous that I get to actually follow his lead in implementing some tremendous legislation that he passed already at the city and that we're going to continue to work on. So here to talk about that and other council initiatives, City Councilor Pat Davis.
Thanks, Mayor. It is great to say thank you, Mayor Keller. It's great to have a new partner upstairs on the 11th floor in his new administration. I want to acknowledge, by the way, some special people here, including our CAO, Sarita Nair, who's in the back. Our brand new Economic Development Director, Cynthia Jaramillo, is here in her first week on the job. A real leader for us in this community and for this work. As Tim and as Martin mentioned earlier, just 4 months after taking office, I introduced, and along with Councilor Benton, a resolution setting our goal of just 25% of the city's energy from renewable sources by 2025. We did it because it was the right thing to do. And working alongside Councilor Benton, we came up and clean energy advocates, including Sanders and her team that helped us do this work. We passed that resolution, and along with it came a plan to get it going. Just last week, with the mayor, we announced the first 8 projects in Albuquerque, $25 million of public investment in our energy sector and in making our city greener. And we couldn't have made that project happen if it wasn't for Senator Heinrich's full support of our application for those Krebs bonds that, as we've heard, have now been taken off the table by the administration. But it got us started. And I'd like to thank Senator Heinrich and his staff for working so hard on that Solar Toolkit, because it's a model that is helping cities like ours all around New Mexico and the country figure out how to follow that lead and turn that around for their community. The beautiful part of this, and what makes Albuquerque's example and this partnership so special, is that we chose to use our public dollars, as the mayor said, not just to buy panels and throw them on a roof, but to invest it in local companies who are hiring our kids, who are hiring the next generation, creating a 21st century green workforce right here at C&M and their programs that Dr. Winograd's going to talk about. These are jobs the next generation doesn't have to leave New Mexico to find. And for decades, we've been saying New Mexico should be at the forefront of solar and clean, renewable economy. And we're standing out here today to say that we're here. We have almost 3,000 New Mexicans within a 30-minute drive of Albuquerque working in this sector. And it continues to grow despite what happens in Washington. We're making progress, and it's all because we're working together, and it's a great opportunity and a great partnership. And thank you, Senator, for taking the lead of taking these stories of how we do this here in New Mexico so that we can share that with other folks around the country and show them we're really the leader that we've been promising to be for a really long time. I'm proud to introduce our partner in this project and in our community, our next speaker, C&M President Kathie Winograd, whose students are training for these clean energy jobs right here in Albuquerque. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you, Councilor. It truly is so wonderful to have Councilor Davis and Mayor Keller here. They've been wonderful supporters of the college for many years and great friends. And Senator Heinrich, no one is a better friend to C&M than you, and we really appreciate your support. And what you're doing with this toolkit is not only amazing for Albuquerque, but amazing for the entire state of New Mexico. And we are so proud that we get to be here today as you kick this effort off, and we're excited to be part of that. I'm going to introduce a few of my dignitaries as well. We have our board member, Nancy Baca, here with us. And also as important to us, our faculty member, Janet Hughes, who does our photovoltaic installation classes. And we have some students here, which to C&M, our students are our very best resource, so thank you for being here today. I'm going to be really quick because most of what I was going to say, everybody else has already said. But I do want you to know that we started our photovoltaic installation program, and I finally was able to pronounce it in about 2 years later, but we started in 2011. We have graduated almost 180 students at this point, and we have 35 students in the program as we speak. Many of those students have stayed in New Mexico, and we are really looking forward to expanding that program as all these efforts really come to fruition in the future. So we're very, very pleased about that. We also have 2 other sustainability programs. One is in our construction trades area, and one is actually in another area to talk about just the importance of sustainability in our country, certainly in a state like New Mexico. So it is something we're very committed to. We also do a number of sustainability programs within our own programs to help support the college. We call it College as a Living Lab, and we create an opportunity to put a lot of emphasis in that area. So what you're doing is really special to us, and we're very, very pleased to be part of that. Look forward to the future, and with these wonderful people behind me, there is nothing but good things in our future in New Mexico. So I get to now introduce my very good friend, Sandra Begay. Sandra and I have known each other for many years, but her current job is at Sandia National Labs, and she works with the Native American tribes in energy issues. And I want to introduce you and bring you up to the microphone, Sandra. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Senator Heinrich, for having this event on a sunny, somewhat nice wind for renewable energy type of day.
And snow.
We also will be glad of so many moisture and snow. Where I work at Sandia National Labs, I've had a long time of being there, 26 years, but I think I've got a great job working in the tribal renewable energy program. and it's specifically to support tribes in technical assistance. And really that grew out of our photovoltaic or PV solar research and development and other types of assistance we've done in the past. The solar strategies that are described in this toolkit really do illustrate that type of assistance and information that I think will be able to seed ideas for more rural New Mexico projects. So in specific, I work for the Department of Energy's Office of Indian Energy, which sponsors Sandia's work, and I'm able to provide tribal strategic energy planning. Through this program, I assisted both Mescalero Apache tribe and the Picaris Pueblo with their long-range energy plans. So you can now read about these success stories and the toolkit resources that are available for other tribes and other rural communities to develop their own. So as stated in the toolkit, I'm really proud to mentor tribal college students through Sandia's and Department of Energy's Indian Energy program. My former interns, many of who are from New Mexico, are busy working either for tribes or for technical institutions like Sandia National Labs. So I'm in the middle of hiring right now, so I'm excited to get some new college students who are Native American and to be able to have them work here in Albuquerque and understand the needs of the tribes. And we do visit the 2 projects that are mentioned as success stories. Next, I'd like to introduce our next speakers. You've met previously, Sanders Moore back from the state of New Mexico, Environmental Director. Thank you.
Very short. Thank you, Senator Heinrich, for including me in this exciting event. New Mexico is the second sunniest state in the country, yet we lag behind states like Massachusetts and North Carolina in our solar energy production. And we can and should be a national leader in solar energy. We've heard about numerous success stories right here in the land of enchantment that will help New Mexico transition to a renewable energy future. From the city of Albuquerque to CNM and the Mescalero Apache, New Mexicans across the state are harnessing the power of the sun. We, along with our partners at 350 and the Sierra Club, we're proud to work with Councilors Davis and Benton to get the initiative of 25% of the city of Albuquerque's electricity from solar by 2025. People from all over the city and from all walks of life spoke in favor of Albuquerque committing to renewable energy. Thousands of people called and emailed their city councilors, and that resulted in a unanimous support from the city council for this initiative. And that also demonstrated that solar energy is a win-win for our state's largest city. Achieving this goal will help transition New Mexico to a clean, renewable energy future, create homegrown jobs, and save money for the city of Albuquerque. And now we're working with the city of Las Cruces to set their own ambitious goal of achieving 25% of their electricity from solar energy as well. They already get about 7%, and so they're on their way, but there's a lot more that they can do. Citizens in Valencia County were inspired by the city of Albuquerque's solar commitment and are working to get their county to commit to solar energy as well. By following in Albuquerque's footsteps, the city of Las Cruces and Valencia County can also reduce pollution, create jobs, and save their local government's money. The Solar Toolkit that Senator Heinrich presented today will help more New Mexican cities and counties transition to solar energy. In addition to cities leading the way, New Mexico has great opportunities for widespread renewable energy. For example, renewable portfolio standards and community solar systems are 2 policies that can advance solar energy statewide. We currently have a renewable energy standard that requires large utilities to get 20% of their electricity from renewable sources by 2020. We need to expand that policy beyond 20% and beyond 2020. Community solar enables more people to invest in and benefit from the benefits of solar energy. For example, community solar allows people who cannot afford solar, renters, or even homeowners with shady roofs to reap those benefits. Kit Carson Electric Co-op in Taos is one of the few community solar projects in New Mexico, and other communities around the state would benefit from the availability of community solar as well. With our world-class renewable energy resources, New Mexico is well positioned to lead the United States in the transition to renewable energy. Thank you, Senator Heinrich, for launching the Solar Toolkit so that our communities in New Mexico can go solar.